Hello, my name is Jeremy Foley with PX3 Medical. We specialize in healthcare recruitment for healthcare providers, including advanced practice providers. We also do executive search to include senior leadership. We do have an emphasis on both rural and underserved medicine, with more than 3/4 of our clients representing critical access hospitals, rural health clinics, FQHCs, and community mental health centers. Today, we're going to be talking about something that oftentimes we encounter is, do we want a veteran or experienced person, or do we want a new graduate, newbie, if you will, somebody on the lighter side? And oftentimes we have employers that are very, maybe even too much devoted to looking at experienced providers. And oftentimes they struggle to find the people they want, and the search stays open unnaturally too long or artificially too long based on some of the other criteria in addition to that. So I apologize, this is cut off, that just says veteran here. But again, we're talking about an experienced person versus a new graduate. So before we rule anyone out, I always want my employers to consider these 3 simple things when it comes to making this judgment. Do we really want to focus on having somebody experienced, or is somebody that's a little bit greener going to be okay? So the first thing we're going to talk about is the quality. Very simple. Where's their experience coming from exactly? Is this quality experience? Is this average experience? Is this above average experience? Is this something that's maybe subpar? Now, we can't always tell that immediately on paper. Sometimes we can. If we're talking about recruiting, say, a primary care doctor, and they've done work in an urgent care ER, certainly that experience is relevant, but we also know that's going to create some issues when it comes to chronic care management and some of the modalities that we see in primary care compared to urgent and emergent type settings. That's just one example. So in that situation, does it make sense to have somebody with experience? That depends on you, but you shouldn't rule out a new graduate because they might have the right background and foundation to develop for your role. Number 2, habits. Everybody's going to develop bad habits. It's just, I think, a part of human nature. You know, who did they work for? How did they do things there? And how is that going to affect them integrating into your own environment? Now, again, a lot of times we see that providers are very moldable in this situation, but not always. You need to be cognizant of that, and that sometimes these guys with seasoned backgrounds or decades of experience, you know, I'm sorry, they're going to have some habits that just are not going to change. Can you deal with it? Can you not? I can't make that decision, only you can. The last one is stubborn. You know, again, leading off of the habits, the question is this experienced person willing to learn new processes? Are they willing to learn new way of thinking? We all remember when electronic medical record and EHR was forced upon healthcare, and many of us were forced to dive into that whether we wanted to or not. And there was a lot of pushback within the healthcare personnel, those that wanted the paper system. They didn't want to do anything new. And unfortunately, you know, stubbornness and habits don't stop at just new technology. They can be very simple things like a change in mission. If an experienced person isn't willing to play ball, if they're not going to conform to processes and protocols, does that experience trump a new graduate? I would say no. And the fact is, universally, we know that people that are fresh out of school are going to be more moldable. They are going to be more willing to comply and to conform to your wishes. And ultimately, in the long run, that person may be better suited for you because you get to train them, you get to mold them to what you want them to be, rather than taking something that's already been shaped a little bit and trying to make it work for your particular need. So nothing out of the ordinary here, just some very simple steps. Again, as always, if you have any questions, we are here. We will happily offer free consultation on your current or future positions. You do not have an obligation to work with us. We are more than happy to talk to you about your needs. If you have any question about what makes sense for you, our team here is willing to answer any questions you might have. My name again is Jeremy Foley, CEO of PX3 Medical. Thank you for listening. Take care.